This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
Morning all.
We just
Morning, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, we just for those of you on the Decade channels, on the main the Absolute Radio channel, we just played the Fall song, Totally Wired, which ends with him saying, "I'm always worried about 4 times." It's such a great way to end a pop song. I'm always
I enjoyed
worried.
My Heart and I Agree.
My Heart and I Agree is from an old light operatic song, I think.
Is it really?
Yeah. We are in love with you, my heart and I. I think it's that one.
We're getting an awful lot of
that
lookalikes sent in for Frank this morning.
Lookalikes. It's always a great theme on radio shows, I think.
I'm going to plough on with this.
Okay.
We've got Dan Walker for you, and someone says, when did Frank start to manage Benfica?
Oh,
Terry
God,
Charlton.
I'll have to check that one out. I can't call to mind immediately the manager of Benfica.
Okay, I will be showing.
Call yourself a football
I
fan.
know. One thing I did get right, though, and I don't normally do football predictions, but when I said when I was going to the England games that would be the Delta variant Cheltenham Gold Cup.
Oh, yes.
And now yesterday it was officially a danger to public health. Euro 2020. I felt so proud. You heard it here first.
Well done.
I just remember there was like a sort of a simulated Mexican wave of NHS pings going around all around. Beautiful, like a harpsichord.
Lovely.
Anyway, that's football. Today's big football question. In women's football, do you miss a penalty or do you have to miss a penalty?
Oh. Lovely.
I think it'd be good to establish that now in case I get it wrong.
There's a fellow Merlin fan.
Oh-ho.
I just...
Oh-ho!
This is a surprise bit of the Venn diagram I ended up in, actually.
Yeah, Al started watching it with his kids and they loved it.
I finished it.
Here you go, Al got drawn in. What did you think about, I don't want to get any spoilers, but what did you think about the actual Merlin makeup in the last ep? When he sort of went, he went sword in the stone Merlin suddenly.
I don't remember it being like jarring. Why was there?
Okay.
Is there
because he's been he's been a young handsome guy, and then suddenly becomes sword in the stone Merlin. You know, sword in the stone Merlin.
Yeah, I know that Merlin.
White beard, pointy hat. That one.
Well, Cindy Bryden says I just finished watching all 5 episodes of Merlin on Netflix.
Series, Julie.
Series.
Well, when she said that, I mean, forgive me for assuming there were only 5 episodes, but I'll continue.
If there'd only been 5 episodes, I don't know what I would have done with myself.
Well, which took me about a week.
Wow.
I never understood how people could binge watch for hours.
Is she under house arrest?
I never understood how people could binge watch for hours until Merlin came along.
This makes me so happy.
All I can say is that the show is, and she's gone caps here.
Yeah.
The show is epic. Amazing acting, amazing story, and thirdly, and I like to think most importantly, amazing scenery. Wow.
When you said block capitals, I thought she was going to say magic, and that would spoil the whole thing, but she didn't. She retained her dignity, and I respect her for that. Very typical of the people, I think, who contact this show. Smart.
I mean,
she retained her dignity by watching all 5 series of Merlin in a week.
Give it a try. You said to me recently. Emily said to me, Al.
Yeah.
Emily said to me, do you know what? I'm starting to see what you mean about American box sets.
I did say that.
And I thought, you know what? It's been a long haul. But I think we're getting there. Let's watch some British box sets. That's what I'm suggesting.
Yeah. I know, but don't see that as a gateway drug to Sylvester McCoy.
Well, I don't need one of those. I'm already in the clinic, I'm afraid. Sylvester McCoy.
Frank Skinner on Absolute
Radio.
Can I tell you what happens is I turn Al up on the desk, and then every time I do it, the producer moves across and turns it down just a tiny little bit. Okay.
In case I speak.
Yeah. And I said, why don't you put a bit of tape across the top? Then you won't have to do that. So 1 week it happened. It hasn't happened since. And I've realised that she needs that.
Well,
it's a sense of control.
Okay. Listen,
Right.
Gary Aspley has been in touch, Frank, and I think he sounds like a nice friend for you.
Okay.
Because,
you know I don't do friends.
well, I know, but I'm here to change that
Okay.
because Gary Aspley, Al, starts with Big Up British box sets. Okay, that's a good
Okay.
start.
Yeah.
Big Up British
Yeah.
box sets. Just started Peaky Blinders.
You know what?
Oh.
I haven't.
And then he said,
I've-
coming from the Midlands. Have you watched, Frank? Sorry if you've already discussed previously. Now, everything about that makes me think he'd be a good friend for you. He's from the Midlands. He likes British box sets.
I had a lot more friends when I lived in the Midlands, certainly.
Well, that's the pub for you.
I just think, people, birds of a feather. I'm not suggesting that as a box set, by the way.
And I like that he says, sorry if you've already discussed previously.
No, well, you know what? I have never got into Peaky Blinders because I'm not. I don't cope very well nowadays with ultra violence.
Right.
Well, I'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I remember started watching something on Sky, and in the first 2 minutes, a man was eaten by a polar bear, and I thought, I just can't do this anymore. Where's me Merlin? Yeah.
Well, they do have a body count, presumably, but they die by sort of glitter and things, don't they?
Well,
Magic.
there's not
Oh,
many.
right.
There's not many deaths in there. To be
Okay.
honest, I think it's a show that is about life. Yeah, but yeah, I can't cope with people getting razors out and stuff. There's enough of that in my domestic world. Anyway,
Okay.
In real life, I cut my finger on a tin of corned beef the other day. Very gruesome.
it's a fabulously working class injury
Isn't it?
on a tin of corned beef. You were
Exactly.
doing national service at the moment. No.
How's the powdered egg ration getting
It was one of
along?
those highly relatable moments for Emily where the corned beef tin didn't have the little
Shut
key
up.
on it, and so I was trying
Shut
to open it.
up. I have.
Was
You
it one
told
that-
us you'd never eaten corned beef.
No, well,
quite recently.
I have seen it being eaten on TV.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's really worth a try.
so it
Although
was-
be careful on the tins.
But was it one that needed a key and hadn't got a key?
Yeah, and I was trying to.
God,
I was trying to do the other way, where you just open it like a tin, and then. Woof.
Guys, wouldn't that
So
be the
I've
most
got-
disappointing thing if you
got a
found a
bandage.
key or something and you thought, oh, what does this open? What does this lead to? What a magical portal. And
Yeah.
then you found out it was an old corned beef.
I think it happens in that children's classic, The Lion, the Witch and the Corned Beef.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fabulous ending. They slightly give it away with the title, but nevertheless.
They all have a sandwich with pickle.
I might do that in my will, is leave a key to someone and it becomes their
They have to
whole
find-
life, the
It's
quest.
a great story.
What does it
Good.
open? And it's a corned beef. I mean, how depressing would that be?
Well, it depends on their partiality.
Yeah.
Can I tell you that I was determined to check. Oh, hold on there. I've been stopped mid-flight. I can't work like this.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I wanted to make sure I wasn't completely convinced as it starts to get a little colder, a little darker in the mornings, that my underfloor heating was working in the kitchen. So it occurred to me last night. So I thought
The struggle is real.
I'll write it on the back of my hand. That's what you have to do at my age to remember it.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me that if Kath, I just wrote on the floor, and I thought if Kath went missing and the police called me in and they saw that on my hand, I mean, the whole house would be.
Yeah.
It would be,
Be careful what you write on your hand. That's the moral of this story.
throwback to the Trevor Jordache storyline.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember that?
Oh,
folks?
God, do I remember that? Yes. For those of you who don't, Brookside was a set in a Liverpool not sitcom, a soap, in which the beautiful Beth Jordache buried her
Anna Friel.
Buried her dad under the patio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean.
We didn't know then.
Spoiler for anyone that's taped it and was serving
Anyone
it.
who's just buying the box set on the strength of our Buy British box sets, slightly dodgy campaign. Oh, man.
You know what he's trying to do, Al, with the Buy British box set? So,
Oh, yeah.
he's got some of those copies of Shane.
I don't think that ever made the box set level.
Can you get Shane on DVD?
No.
Oh, right.
No. You can't get it anywhere. It's been erased from. It's a 1984 type. This is in case you don't know.
Memory hold.
This is a sitcom I wrote some time ago, which has become what I believe Orwell calls a non-person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any non-sitcoms in 1984. I suspect there isn't.
I read it fairly recently, and no, I don't think there are. But you're right. It has been memory hold somewhat, hasn't it?
I would have classed it as one of my favourite books until I read a Russian novel called We, which seemed to be very, very, very similar. And then I thought, well, give George benefit of the doubt. He'd probably never even heard of this. And then when I looked it up, he'd reviewed that book. I think it's one of the most... It's literature's greatest I'm having that. Yeah, outrageous.
Sean Holly Lake Trucker has got in touch. It's all right. I thought about it as well, but I think it's fine.
I think it's fine.
Has got in touch to say, in days gone by, a wise person always saved a spare key for opening things like corn dog tins. Hashtag just saying.
Yeah.
A corn dog, can I say, is very different from corned beef.
I don't understand what a corn dog.
Maybe the tin opening system is similar.
Well, no, because I wouldn't think of a corn dog in a tin. A corn dog it's like a hot dog, except it's completely enclosed. It's encased in bread. You haven't got a slice and a sausage. It comes within. I remember I went...
Sort of giant licorice torpedo.
Well, hang on.
Yes, that is exactly what it's like for meat eaters.
Oh, so
Yeah.
hang on a minute. Does the bread form a sort of bread? Is it meat within a sort of breadstick?
Yes, it's bread armour.
Really?
Bread armour
Like a
for a
capsule.
sausage.
Like
Yeah, it's a
capsule with
capsule.
a sausage in it.
Yeah.
Can you see the meat inside?
Only when you bite in. But you know what? I think you have to believe. Anyway, I went to see, I think it was The Quick and the Dead. Was that the Sharon Stone Western?
Oh, yeah.
And I saw that at a drive-in movie.
Lovely.
And we had things like corn dogs and Hershey bars and all that
Were
stuff.
you with an American?
I was with an American at the time.
Oh.
But the suspension seemed to handle it all right.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
You will recall last week I was talking about my new car, which I scratched day one. I think it was officially day two. Day one, I suppose, was me driving it from the dealership. And then I wonder if gamblers talk about dealerships. Anyway, so I scratched it we'll call it day two, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really checked it out. But then my son, my 9-year-old son, Boss, said that scratch is actually quite bad. I said, I don't think it's not that bad, is it? So I went out, I looked at it, and God, man.
Is it bad?
It's so bad, I think I must have looked at the wrong wing when I looked at it. It was like a real ruin the car completely scratch.
Can I ask some possibly economically motivated questions?
Yes.
Is the scratch going several panels of the vehicle, or is it just like the door or the
No, it's
wing,
on the front, wing, driver's side.
Oh, okay. Because if it's wing and door, obviously that's 2 paintwork areas that you need replaced or fixed. But if it's just one, then you're probably... I mean, I'm guessing that you're not going to wash it and TP it yourself. You need somebody to...
Sorry, is this an AA helpline? What's happened?
Can I stop you before we get any more Brian Tilsley on this? After 5 minutes of me thinking, I can't, this is so bad, I can't just ignore this, I'll have to get it done.
It's embarrassing for a man of your means.
Yeah, but then Boz told me that actually it was a prank car scratch sticker that he'd got,
funny.
something to do with a Beano, I think, or something like...
I used to have one of those, and I think it was from the Beano. They're still doing it.
I made the mistake of buying him 50 great pranks as well at some point.
That's good.
But anyway, it utterly... I'll put a photo of it on social. It totally fooled me. And you know, the great thing about being pranked is when you realising you haven't got an enormous scratch on your car is such a gift.
Yes.
People used to ask me the time, and I would always add 55 minutes or so, and then then tell them the real time. And I felt like I'd given them an extra 55 minutes on their life. Yeah.
Why?
Because it was nice. They were so happy when they realised it was a bit earlier.
Is this like your April Fool's prank, Frank, which regular readers will remember involved Frank running upstairs and saying to his family, "Help, come on, the toilet's broken."
Yeah. I think that was all right. I think one of those was my car's been stolen. Actually.
Yes, you did.
I don't do them anymore. I let Boz do the jokes. No. Anyway, he went to a joke shop this week. Now, I didn't think they still existed, but he found one in Cheltenham. I haven't seen his array of things yet, but I know he purchased some pranks.
Can I, as something of a keen prankster myself at that age, who used to, I was often in the joke shop. I had quite a collection.
There aren't many about. No, I haven't seen one for years.
No, when we went to the Edinburgh Festival, we had to stock up. There was a great joke shop in Edinburgh. Yeah. May I tell you to avoid, if you're presented with a plate with cookies on it and one looks slightly rubbery in consistency, maybe avoid that one.
Okay.
I did that once to one of my parents' friends and he went, "Oh, my crown!"
I can imagine.
And his tooth slightly fell out, I'm afraid.
Well, I was thinking there must be some jokes, like he's got a hand buzzer, but... How long before that's vetoed as a dangerous thing? It's a bit ECT, isn't it?
And well, it depends on who you're doing it to.
Stink bomb, is that healthy?
Well, I don't know. I let those off a lot. And actually, I think you're right. It depends on the person.
It's all corned beef I eat.
For example.
Oh, please.
I had a whoopee cushion. That's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Had we had someone like you or Al over, fine. But I would put that under the gentleman who produced Nazis: A Warning from History.
Okay.
That's not the right person for the whoopee cushion.
It depends on the nature of the warning. Yeah. One thing that I cannot believe still exists, and this must be perhaps the greatest of the joke shop, the exploding cigar. That can no longer... Surely that wouldn't be allowed. If anyone can tell me where I can get a hold of an exploding cigar, I'd be very happy.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Can I tell you something that happened to moi?
Please do.
I was in a park playing football with
David Baddiel,
family and friends. And
are you good at football, Frank?
No.
Okay.
But there was lots of people who didn't really play. What was that?
Alan said
Just said,
awkward.
Yeah, it was. I mean, why bring that up? Anyway, I can still get some joy out of, playing.
I see it as the intentional flaw in the immaculate Persian rug.
I found it was intentional.
As you were.
Nevertheless, so a man approached me. He had a dog with him. I didn't recognise him at all, and I thought it might be a all right. But he didn't look very football-y or whatever. And anyway, he said, hello, I'm Ned Bowman. Now, I don't know if you know Ned Bowman. He's a novelist. And I remember I'd read his first two novels, which was Boxer Beetle and the Teleportation Accident.
Oh, here we go.
And I wrote him a sort of fan email. That's something I hadn't done. I mean, when I'd done it before, there wasn't an email. The last time I remember doing it was I went to see Nicholas Nickleby at the RSC, 8.5 hours.
Oh, Roger Rees.
And it's fantastic, though.
It's a wonderful production.
Roger Rees, as you say, and Threlfall, I think, as Smike.
David Threlfall.
Anyway, I thought I won't write to them because they're too big. I'll write to David Collins, I think his name was.
What?
Because he'd been in Doctor Who. And also he was quite close to us in the intermingling that happened at the beginning. So you remember him, he was in Robots of Death and Mordrin Undead. Do you remember those?
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
I know, but it's feeling very close to home, this. It's sort of actors in Nicholas Nickleby at the RSC
Yes.
accepting parts in Doctor Who.
Anyway, he didn't reply to my letter. I wrote him a lovely, long letter.
All that red wine wasn't going to drink itself. He was busy.
No, but... dear old Dennis Law this week, it was announced that he's got dementia. He was a fantastic player. And I wrote a fan letter to him. At the same time, I wrote to Bobby Moore, Bobby Charlton and Dennis Law. And I got an autograph from Bobby Charlton, autograph from Bobby Moore. And from Dennis Law, I got a printed advert for Shredded Wheat that had a sort of printed version of his autograph on it. And I felt... it just wasn't the same. It weren't the same, Mr. Holmes. Anyway, I just Ned Bowman came over and said, you wrote to me, do you remember? And I said, yes, of course. And it was great. We talked about, novels and dogs and stuff. And it was very exciting. And I thought, well, yeah, that could work as a texting, couldn't it? What interesting responses have you had to fan letters?
Like that.
I mean, keep it clean. I remember that guy from what was it, Beverly Hills 9010. I think
he's no longer with us.
I think a fan sent him a brassiere.
Yes, the late Luke Perry.
And he married her.
Reader, he married her.
Yeah. So
legend.
Coming up, if you like, maybe we could tease this from Pete in Bradford-on-Avon.
Okay.
Hi, Frank and crew. I went to Cardiff to watch Foals last week and stopped in a joke shop to get my 10-year-old son some jokes.
Okay, well, let's show it. Is that a cliffhanger?
Yeah.
I love it.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on, I've got it written down, on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
Oh, we left things. Do you remember Pete in Bradford-on-Avon?
Oh, yes. Yes, he took his son to a joke shop.
Yeah. So where'd we got to, Al? He'd
gone to Cardiff to watch Foals, which is with a capital F indicating it's the band rather than just some young animals scampering.
That'd be great. How would you respond? Let me ask you this: if you met a bloke in a bar and he said that he'd actually driven to Cardiff to watch some young horses in a field and then driven back again, would you think, what a lovely, warm, caring bloke, or would you think, I'm going to get away from this bloke as fast as I can?
Well, firstly, I would assume it was some sort of sweet little nickname they had for their local football team. I went to watch Foals.
But if he actually said it was horses...
If he was watching horses in the field, I think that was very concerning.
I think there must be nearer horses in the field to where you live.
Just get Wi-Fi and do it online.
Oh, come on, that's not the same.
Matt Davis, as he's pointed out, didn't the person visiting the Cardiff joke shop have enough horseplay at the Foals gig?
Ah.
Oh, you see, that's...
Come on, Matt
But what
Davis.
happened at the joke shop, more importantly?
Okay.
Oh, he tells us his order.
Go on, Al. You take this on. Go on.
No, I'm very happy to square it back to you in a 1
Don't
and 2.
make me reach into the back seat and say, will you two... stop. Come, will you two stop it?
Oh, I always lost those battles. I know, it's time I moved on, though. Anyway, so we're in the joke shop in Cardiff watching the foals
I've looked up.
in the field.
Yeah.
And he's gone into the joke shop to get his 10-year-old son some jokes. The guy in the shop was amazing. It's all right, continues.
Okay.
And demonstrated loads of jokes and tricks. Demonstrations, Frank.
Brilliant.
Cool.
I left with a bag full of whoopee cushions for that real Bronx cheer, electric shock pen. Whoa.
Oh, I'm not familiar with those, but I like the sound of that. That'd be great. If I was a priest, I might have those for the signing of the register at weddings.
Chili pepper sweets.
Oh yes, they were always popular.
Water squirting camera.
Yes.
Disappearing ink. And the big
All
SB.
classic. Not.
The stink bomb.
Oh, I thought it was going to be an EC, the exploding cigar.
If you're ever in Cardiff with Buzz,
Yes,
it's right opposite the castle main entrance.
I'll remember that.
Okay.
I love Cardiff.
There you go.
Although
Also,
I missed the
somebody's
Doctor Who
actually-
experience, I've got to tell you that.
Somebody has sent you a link to somewhere that you can still buy cigar bangers, they call them.
Ah,
And it's somewhere in Maidenhead, I think. I can't really tell from the link because it looks all garbled like internet sort of addresses do.
okay. Well, I'll check it out. That
Might be
sounds
handy
good.
for you after the show if
There's
you
a
wanted to
gig
get
in
yourself-
Maidenhead as well, isn't there? I played
You're gonna
played
put it in
Maidenhead.
to justify going.
I've
to the
played
cigar
Maidenhead
shop.
a few times, yeah.
We've also had Carl has got in touch to say we were talking about fan letters people had
Yes.
written. I sent and responses they had. I sent a very eloquent note to Nightmare. That's with as in Knights
With a
of
K.
Camelot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Nightmare?
Yeah.
Who are
Yeah,
them?
I've forgotten the name of the TV show.
Is it
Might be-
Gladiators?
No, it was.
That's what it sounds like.
That would be a great gladiator's name.
I think
Frank.
so, yeah.
Who's your favourite gladiator? Oh, I like Nightmare with a KN.
It's very horse-themed.
I sent a very
False,
eloquent
mate.
note to Nightmare saying I could do the dungeon solo. So I'm assuming they're a band, these people.
Well, Al knows, don't you, Al?
No, it was like a sort of choose your own adventure TV show, but the name of
okay.
the show has completely slipped my mind now.
Okay.
And now all I can think of is Nightmare as the possible name of the show.
And
Which
I'm
is no
afraid they
use.
sent a very polite letter back saying absolutely not.
Okay.
But he was 7, so he was chuffed to bits. So sometimes just any contact at all is better than none. Even the refusal will be treasured.
Yeah, I think that because my mum wrote to West Brom when I was little asking if I could be a mascot, and they wrote back. I've still got the letter. It's not one of those typed, but typed with on the red ribbon instead of the blue ribbon on the typewriter. I think that's for and it said we don't have mascots, but should we ever change our mind, we'll call you. It's one of those things. And have I had the call? Have I Buffalo?
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
John Hopkins, one of our regulars.
Hopkins. Yes.
Goodbye, Mr. Chip. John Hopkins has got in touch to say, I wrote a letter to ex-Olympian and world's strongest man, Jeff Capes,
Oh, yeah.
in the mid-80s. Remember him, Al?
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
I remember he featured on Baddiel and Newman, or were they Newman and Baddiel? They'll always be Baddiel and Newman to me. They did that thing, History Today, too old history. And one says, you know that Jeff Capes. Oh, you see that, Jeff Capes, he used to say.
Yes.
And then the other, I can't remember who says what, says, I am familiar with his work. And he says, that's your mum, that is. It was, yeah, he was on everything, Jeff Capes. He was a real personality, as they used to call him.
So he was in the strongman chair.
Yeah, he was definitely in the strongman chair.
A chair I'm very fond of, as you both know. Anyway, Brian Jacks, was he also...
Not strongman, I don't think. He was judo, wasn't he? And
yeah, I know, but he was a superstar, one of the superstars.
He was...
I pictured... You know, when you picture someone who you know, either personally, I always picture them in a certain situation.
How do you see Jeff?
Jeff
the original GC.
Always carrying a fridge.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that was when they had the sort of the low rent, almost it's a knockout, Britain's Strongest Man TV show, before it went a bit more rock and roll. I think that was one of the things they had to do, was carry a fridge. And it was a very cheap show. I think like the plug was still on it and the lead. And there's a bit of water coming out the bottom.
That's not like when I appreciate I do go on about this a lot, but indulge me. When I flew out to Malta, as you know, Frank, to spend a week with the world's strongest men, Phil Pfister and the like, they were pulling planes. There were 747s, fridges with plugs coming off them, please.
Wouldn't this be a good sitcom plot that you get offered about? If you had like a Woman About Town journalist gets offered to go to the world's strongest man thing, says yes, answers the email, says yes, and when she gets off the plane there's a big sign saying welcome world's strangest man, and she realised it was a misprint, and she's there, then she's trapped in Malta with the world's strangest.
You're throwing away good sitcom ideas.
I know. Well, I put all my bad sitcom ideas in my sitcoms. I thought that'd be better there. It's a bit like burying radioactive isotope in a lead casing.
John Hopkins, just to return to Hopkins, who wrote this letter to the original GC.
Jeff Capes.
Yeah. Jeff Capes replied with a letter of thanks and tips on how to care for a budgie.
Wow.
I did not own a budgie.
Had he asked him for tips on how to... Oh, okay.
Maybe Jeff Capes was promoting... something to do with budgerigars.
Oh, maybe.
I suspect it was. Because...
Yeah, they're an unlikely combo because they're such a delicate, vulnerable creature, the budgerigar.
I think Jeff Capes went on to run a chain of driving schools, didn't he? Unless I've just made that
You don't want to drive like Capes.
No, not just through walls.
I can't imagine Capes would be... I mean, I don't get me wrong, I love Capes. He's not the person I'd go to for the self-restraint and subtlety required in taking my initial test.
Well, also, he didn't even switch the engine on. He just connected a chain to the front bumper, which you held in your teeth, and then you had to pull it down the road with him giving you advice and encouragement.
And I want an emergency stop, Jeff.
Mirror signal manoeuvre.
It was pointless.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Glenn Maker has an example for us.
Email from Glenn Maker. Email from Glenn Maker. Email from Glenn Maker. It's the REM.
It's not Mr. Maker from the kids' television show.
Oh, what if it was it? That'd be if his name was really Maker and we never even considered that.
Oh, can you imagine? Anyway, Glenn Maker, well, he says he's just got an example for us, a quick example of That'll Do lyrics.
Oh,
this is something of a regular feature on our show.
Yeah, it's that moment in a song where the lyrics just sort of collapse. It's like there's a gap and they think, oh, that'll do. Mm-hmm. We need to record now, so they just put anything in.
Mm-hmm. He's cited the Feeder song, Buck Rogers, which has the lyric, get a house in Devon, drink cider from a lemon.
Yes. The trouble is, once you've gone Devon...
Yeah.
There's about, you're either going to go to heaven or it's going to be, or you're going to go to
Kevin?
You could go to a 7-Eleven.
You could have a half rhyme with some Keegan.
Yeah, I suppose. Now I'm thinking about it. You could have your bread on leaven.
And you've got your sevens. There's all sorts that can be done there.
Yeah, right. You're
Try
right.
harder.
They could have done better.
Heaven
Glenn
and
also-
bread and leaven.
They could have gone somewhere specific like Torquay.
Do you have heaven, bread and leaven? You see, this is where Frank's thoughts go of a weekend, Al. Frank,
Good point.
Frank, Glenn would also like to say he had to cancel the Liverpool gig in his hometown. He's coming all the way to see you. He's journeying to Halifax.
Aww.
He's going to see you in October.
That's lovely.
And what I like is he signed off text from Glenn Maker.
Text from Glenn Maker. Text from Glenn Maker. Okay.
Also, just a few other things. Glenn also says your prank looks like, which is Buzz's joke.
Scratch on my car.
Scratch on your car. He
Which
says,
we'll put on our social media to show you that. Imagine my horror.
It's excellent.
well, Glenn Maker says it looks like some miners have walked past your car. Maybe scraped it with soot.
Yeah, but if you imagine that the things were black that I drove into, then you get the paint stick into them.
Yeah.
Also, King of Spain 2009. Yes, I remember it well. Says Brian Jacks asked me to look after his wallet whilst he used the dry ski slope I was working at in Sidcup in 1989. Treasured memory.
Excellent.
I love, there's so much in that, isn't there? Sidcup, if you're going to do a comedy anecdote, use Sidcup. It's got a good consonance.
And for some reason, dry ski slope is funnier than ski slope.
Yeah, because
there's just a lot of good stuff in
I've
it.
never been on a dry ski slope, but
We're playing I've never.
No, that's not play I've never.
Do you know,
Can I say?
It's not for the likes of us, Frank, the dry ski slope, just because I think it's quite hard.
I think it would be, but if it must be the joy of being a judo sort of black belt guy. Is you can say to someone, "We look after my wallet." Because what they're going to do, you know what they're going to do? They're going to look after your wallet.
Absolutely.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We were talking off air. I always like to keep you in touch with what we're talking about off air if it's not libelous or obscene. And
So every now and again.
Every 6 months or so.
And we were talking about, I certainly grew up at school. It was, there's always like a big threat, whether it's, I don't know. Anyway.
Threat of our times.
Yeah, and for us, it was the Russians or someone pressing the button. There was always talk about nuclear.
Yeah.
I just grew up thinking that was going to happen.
We had a lot of nuclear anxiety, our generation.
And we were talking about this idea of pressing the button.
Yes, because you'd often be told the sort of bogeyman thing, or it was often the, used in the argument for nuclear disarmament was the concept of someone not of sound mind running in and pressing the button. Now, even as a child, I would question this.
Running in.
It's what's running in, as if they would have access. So they would say... Some, and then they would use a word to refer to someone who was not of sound mind, could just run in and press the button.
Like they do in Doctor Who, if there's a bomb that's going to blow up the universe and the Doctor has stopped it, and then the last minute someone reaches across and presses the button again or something. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you should say Doctor Who, and it's not often I say that, because that was exactly how I envisaged it, and that's what confused me, is it conjured up this idea of a big red flashing button sort of constructed by one of the sort of BBC props masters.
Like on X Factor when they like the person so much.
Yes, the buzzer.
Well, there's that big one where is it X Factor or
Golden
Britain's
Buzzer
Got Talent?
But there's also it's all family fortunes. It's that kind of buzzer we're imagining. What we'd like to know, if anyone, who would it be, Al? People who work for...
That might be just people who read about it.
Homeland Security.
Yeah, anyone working for Homeland Security, could they get in touch?
I've got an idea that the button is in an attaché case. that gets carried around.
It's like Inspector Clouseau, Frank.
The trouble is with that is what I don't want. I don't like the idea that the pressing the button is based on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
My experience of Wi-Fi is, let's say, hit and miss.
What do you... Okay, so you think it's in an attaché case.
I think so.
I think there's a big red sort of Doctor Who button in a room on its own.
I think it's a red button, but it's in an attaché case.
Al, what do you think?
Bit of a waste of that room if it is a room with just I mean, I feel guilty about not using some of the rooms in our house as much as other rooms. It's just a shame, isn't it? They could put some books in there or something. Use it for storage as well.
There could be others. Maybe it could be more of a booth. What I'd like it to be...
I see it as a booth.
Do you know those like rubber arm-length gloves in walls in laboratories that you put your arms into so you can handle isotopes and stuff like that? I'd like the idea that you might have to put your arm... What I hate about those is, you know what I mean? They're sticking out the wall. They're like long black rubber arms, and you put your hands in, but your face is really pressed against the plasterwork.
It's so Science Museum, and it's why sometimes I worry about the Science Museum for those reasons.
Well, now you've mentioned the Science Museum, I associate Science Museum visits at school with like 12 boxes of working exhibits and 7 of them working.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
it's very smart
the button doesn't operate like that. I mean, let's try it. Let's try a bit
I
better.
hope it does.
Yeah.
In fairness,
Well, it
I'd be
depends.
quite pleased if it was unreliable.
Yeah, but that might mean it just went off one day. You know, like a burglar alarm sometimes just goes off on me.
How annoying is that?
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Paul Thompson has been in touch, and he's shed some light on the Jeff Capes Budgerigar incident.
Oh, the Jeff Capes Budgerigar mystery.
I'd watch that on Channel 5.
I would as well.
You have watched it.
Yeah. I'd like it if it was done as a sort of Agatha Christie drama rather than as a documentary.
I put it to
Who'd
you
play
that
Jeff-
it was you, Monsieur Capes.
Who'd play Jeff Capes in the...
Ricky Grover.
Okay.
Al?
Okay.
Oh, good shout. Yeah, that's a great shout.
Yeah, we happy with that, everyone?
You got a backup plan as a casting director.
David Baddiel.
David Baddiel as Jeff.
Well, it's Jeff Capes in reduced circumstances. Anyway, carry on.
David's not right for Jeff Capes.
He's got the beard.
No.
It's a start.
He'd be the sort of the coach. I can see him as the sort of brains character.
Okay.
A sort of coach who was encouraging him to be a drugs cheat or something. And Jeff said, I'm not the David. I'm getting myself into hot water
Bad
here.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just see him as the brains behind the operation.
Does it explain the Budgerigar?
Okay, I'm sorry. Paul Thompson. The company I work for used to work for the World Budgerigar Show.
Okay.
Now stop showing off.
Yeah.
Once, when I delivered the order in Doncaster, Jeff Capes was there organising it, and he bought me fish and chips. Nice guy.
That is nice.
So
That's
Jeff
great.
Capes organised the WBS.
Jeff Capes probably overestimated. He probably bought fish and chips 6 times, and he had 5, and he thought, oh, you know what? I can't face that last one. Do you want fish and chips, mate? So I imagine it
Maybe.
went. I once went to Derby County versus West Bromwich Albion many, many years ago, and we stopped off at Swaddling Coat for a drink. Which is in Derbyshire. Now, the one thing I knew about Swaddling Coat, it was the home of Jack Bodell, the British heavyweight boxer. So I was quite excited to go there, and I said to the bloke at the pub, I said, this is Jack Bodell country, isn't he? And he said, yeah, it is. I said, is it like a statue or anything? He said, a statue. He said, he delivers the coal here on Thursdays. Oh, God, how the mighty have fallen.
Oh.
Jack Bodell anecdotes. See you on Absolute Radio.
Yeah, let's get it back to our more accessible Jeff Capes anecdotes.
And the World Budgerigar Show in
So we don't
Doncaster.
know the connection. They was delivering Budgerigars. Why was Jeff Capes there?
Because
Well, I think he breeds budgies.
that's it, Al.
Somebody has sent me a link to Jeff Capes is actually very proficient at breeding budgies, and it's a website, www.littlepeckers.co.uk, which I've checked out, and it is
budgies?
Sort of, it's about birds, yeah.
Wait,
so I
you know,
think Jeff Capes is into that stuff.
You know, I'm a regular at Zippo Circus, and
Here we go.
Norman, the ringmaster, did a budgie
You're on
act.
first name terms with
am.
the ringmaster.
I am.
That's strange, friend.
And he
Who should we have over for dinner tonight? Oh, we have David Baddiel, the ringmaster. What goes on in your house?
And he did a fantastic, still does, I hope, a budgerigar act in which they walk a tightrope, they drive a little car, they climb ladders. And he did it, I think, at the Royal Command Performance in 1967.
Can I ask you a question? Does Norman the ringmaster, when it gets into the bitterly cold winter months, does he have a parka which is cropped at the waist, boleroed, or are all his jackets ringmaster
I've only
finned?
ever seen him in the standard red ringmaster jacket and the top hat.
Oh, wow.
He's on the traditional front. He has a little bit of millet in between.
Oh.
That's my budgerigar impression. What is it, darling?
What is it, darling?
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Sign a few different stresses. Keep it fresh.
I like you messing around with your emphasis. I enjoyed it. Lucy Mersey, briefly, has got in touch to say we have an amazing...
Don't want to cross her. Sorry, Lucy.
Wonderful. We have an amazing joke shop. I don't know if she's just wrong. We have an amazing joke shop on Neville Street in Southport. Oh, not far.
Yeah.
Southport's that
I think
sort
that's
of
where
vague
Alan
area.
Hansen lives, isn't he? Not Neville Street, but I think he lives in Southport. I think he told me he moved there to be close to the golf course.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense.
That sounds right. When you talk about that.
Yeah.
My great nephews got a snappy chewing gum packet.
I know the ones.
That one like hurts you.
Fake cigarettes.
Cool.
I like cool. And the obligatory fake dog poop when they visited us recently.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I don't like the P on the end of dog poo.
Can I be honest?
It's an American term.
Can I be absolutely transparent with you?
Yeah.
I added the P.
Oh, did you?
Yes, because I paused over.
Paused?
I was slightly concerned and I thought it's breakfast time.
So you think poo is
Why don't
better?
I sanitise it with the additional P and make it sound more fun?
Yeah.
There's a lot of poo and pee in this link.
There is a lot of poo and pee.
Let's not, tread over this
the P
ground.
is only a spelling thing, really. So.
Yeah. Oh, remember the never-ending gift that keeps on giving value of "Can I have a P, please, Bob?" on Blockbusters.
Oh,
it was fun, wasn't it?
Eternally giving.
I'd like you, Bob.
Yes.
I mean, there are moments like that in life. They're few and far between. Anyway, what else has been happening?
I'd like to discuss a parrot, which, as a comedy show, we have to be very careful.
Very bird-based.
With parrot-based comedy, because I think it's been done in quite a notable way.
Are you referring to Freddie, Mr. Parrotface Davis?
Yeah.
Okay.
And not the Python sketch.
No. Freddie Parrotface Davis. Can I just say, Freddie Parrotface Davis, who was a comedian in TV comic in the 60s, whose catchphrase was that. He used to. He did a single called Sentimental Songs, and he's called Freddie Mr. Parrotface Davis because he had a slightly parrot-like face, obviously. And I think he went bankrupt in the end. It's a sad story. And he ran a hotel or something. And when the bailiffs turned up, it said on the door, he'd left a note saying the bird has flown, which I did really like. Respect. Anyway, sorry. Parrots.
Well, I think we may have to have a parrot cliffhanger, actually. I think it's time.
Oh, I
Or have I got that wrong?
another. Yeah, let's have a parrot cliffhanger. Can I add to the cliffhanger?
It's not such a cliffhanger if it's a parrot, is it?
Oh yeah.
There's no jeopardy there.
Well, we'll leave it as a perch hanger.
Okay. Let's do that.
Nice.
I can't do because that's a budgerigar, so I don't.
So that's a bit horrible as well.
Yeah, it is a little bit horrible. They don't know how I'm doing it.
Oh God.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're talking about some birds.
Yeah, I'd like to return to this parrot story, please.
Oh yes.
You're not on countdown requesting consonants.
I was echoing the Monty Python story.
Oh yeah.
Oh, lovely.
There was a parrot that escaped from Surrey and then spent 2 days in London, and now it's gone home. It's making announcements like on the tube. It's saying, ding dong and keep to the left.
Can they learn that quickly, parrots? 2 days.
The African
unless
grey.
it mugged up before going.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
guessing. I mean, maybe it did some
The greys are.
Duolingo before going down that there London. I don't know.
Is it a parrot? The figure on Duolingo, is that a parrot?
I
don't
don't.
know. I've
Oh
never
no,
done
it's an
Duolingo.
owl, isn't it? I thought it was an owl.
I don't know. It's
Owl's good at language.
It's one of those. This is like, what kind of character is Pete? Remember we had that, the Walt Disney debate. I don't know what the Duolingo. It could be a parrot. It's green, isn't it?
You see,
get
I
green
thought it was a
owls?
green owl.
A green owl?
Yeah.
What kind of talk is it? That was actually from the parrot sketch.
Lovely.
Okay.
I thought it was a green. What next are you going to repeat for me? Harry Enfield, loads of money. I thought it was a green owl. The owls I've come across I find them fairly versatile on the language front. They speak all sorts.
Owls?
Yes.
Owls?
I think of
you mean-
owls as a bit more...
Who?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Even the producer audibly groaned.
I know.
So, the Grey, we should say, what I didn't like, he's called Grey.
Yeah.
It was a happy ending, Al. He was reunited with the owner.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't like that the British Transport Police... where does their jurisdiction end, incidentally? That's a whole other story.
Well, they're all right at Waterloo, surely.
Well, they're fine at Waterloo, but that's what I mean. If I wreaked havoc in a bar nearby, could they still apprehend me? The Transport
see.
Police?
I thought you meant, like, are they really in charge of animal life on the transport system?
I think they
Because
cover...
surely it's about human fare dodging mostly.
No, I
then
think
suddenly
all
it's like,
transport-based. I think they're all right with the parrot thing.
I haven't seen that bothered about the mice on the tube.
Yeah,
really.
or Paddington. He was just
Never
left.
seen-
He would have been there all night if it hadn't been for the Browns.
Wearing no clothes except for a coat.
Well, no clothes except for a coat is...
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? How would
My
you
MO.
feel if someone walked towards your family saying, "Oh, he's completely naked, but he's got a duffel coat on"? I'm fine with that.
I'd find it a weird transposition of descriptions. Completely naked, but he's got a... What are you talking about?
Well, exactly.
Anyway, what I didn't like is the African grey parrot is called grey. I mean, try a bit harder than that. That's like calling me grey because I'm grey. It's like people who call their son Aaron. I mean, turn to page 2 at least.
I think, although I didn't like that the British Transport Police renamed him before they reunited Grey with his owner. They gave him a temporary moniker.
They often do this when people are found,
call him
sometimes
Monica.
children.
They did it with
Not
me.
Monica, no.
No, his temporary moniker was, they called him Napoleon. And they said, oh, it was a nod to Waterloo. Well, why you rub Napoleon's face in it?
Not only that,
I mean, it wasn't a great day for him
if
now.
I was the Duke of Wellington, I would be furious that a traditional nod to Waterloo is Napoleon. What's a nod to 1966 West Germany? Absolutely ridiculous. What a nod to Waterloo. What about, he could have called him Agnator, after Agnator Volksdog.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had Red Witch has been in touch with some updates on Duolingo.
Okay.
Oh.
Duolingo is a weird owl.
It's an owl. It is an owl.
In some of the language courses, it really harps on about owls. I've noticed that when I was learning Latin.
But surely a parrot would be a more obvious, or maybe a minor.
Do you want to get in touch with them, or we can get someone to reach? I think you're right.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what happened. So I'll tell you what happened with me and Duolingo. When Buzz
Was it in the 90s?
When Buzz was doing homeschooling, he was having French lessons, and I thought, I really like this. I'd like to learn French. And I don't know if it's, but it's been my New Year's resolution to learn French since 1986.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't know Duolingo existed, and Buzz told me about it. So I went on Duolingo, and I did 10 minutes a day for about a month. I was religiously, as they say. And then I don't know what happened. There was, work increased or something, and I missed it for a day. Yeah, life got in the way, and I missed a couple of days, and then 3, and then 4. And then I had a sort of a message from Duolingo, which had a sort of an emoji of the owl, the green owl, with tears streaming down its face. That I hadn't been in. You know the way they do emoji tears? They're not like teardrops.
Emotional manipulation.
Yeah,
isn't it?
great waterfalls of owl tears.
Yeah.
Greek tragedy.
Oh man, I felt awful about it. And
If
I
you were
showed
learning
it-
ancient Greek and you gave up Greek and they said it's a Greek tragedy, I'd respect them then.
Well, I showed it to Boz, and Boz was really quite upset by it and said I should start doing French again immediately. And I thought, I'm not having this. I'm not going to be pressured into it.
I find
Good
owls
Thanks.
very emotionally manipulative.
Owls.
Yes.
Oh, I find Dua Lipa. No, not Dua Lipa.
Not Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa.
That'd be a good one. I want to learn pop music.
Also, what is the owl doing? I mean, leave the crocodile to those tears.
Yes.
They don't belong to you.
No, but the owl was claiming they were genuine. Genuine. Maybe the owl had just gone out in broad daylight. It has nothing to do with me.
And so have you not used the app since?
I have not.
Imagine if you opened it now, what state the owl would be in.
Oh God! You'd just see the feet hanging down from the top of the picture.
Do you know what I like, Al? Oh, God.
Anyway,
Al, I like the way Frank said, I have not.
no,
He went a bit Coronation Street pensioner, refusing to go decimal.
It's a pity.
I have not
it's a pity,
used that money.
because I was still. I'd like, in a way, I'd like to go back, but I don't feel I can now. I won't be.
Never go back,
I won't
dear.
be manipulated by the owl.
Yeah.
So,
Je ne
great.
regrette- actually, I shouldn't do French, should I?
That's all right. Je ne regrette rien.
Oh, you've been hanging out with that
Thought
owl
you were-
again?
You were learning French, I thought it might be.
You're spending too much time with that owl, Frank.
Oh, the owl. The emotional owl.
Gray the parrot.
Grey, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We've already established, that the British Transport Police called him.
Oh, I've got a bit of an update on that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, go on. Have you
Yeah.
spoken to your contacts in the BTP?
864. We were wondering about the jurisdiction, weren't we? And 864 have said the British Transport Police have jurisdiction within 5 miles of all roadways, waterways and railways in the UK.
Wow, that's like when they used to say when you're in London, you're always 6 feet away from a rat.
Yes.
Don't I know it?
Yeah.
Another animal the British Transport Police don't seem to bother with is rats.
Yeah?
Ow.
There's loads of them around on the trains and tubes.
I'm anointing you sort of expert. I'm anointing you show expert on the British Transport Police. Does that mean then that if I commit a crime 5.2 miles... I'm safe.
Fine. Oh, yeah, unless there's another station. You've just walked into someone else's pulsing circle. If you'll, Can I do that again, Paul?
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
There's a thing about at the end of this parrot story, the parrot was returned to its. Because there's more to this. When they found the parrot, it was on the shoulder, it said, according to the newspaper I read, on the shoulder of a rough sleeper.
Well, we've all been there, dear.
Yeah.
I've woken up there many a time.
Well, I've done a bit of rough sleeping in my drinking days, and if I'd have woke up, there's a parrot on my shoulder, I would have just assumed it was imaginary.
Well,
I'd have just been waiting for it to slowly fade as the day progressed.
I would have assumed you were some sort of long Silver character.
No, but can that possibly be true? It's on the shoulder of a rough sleeper.
I mean, they made friends.
Are they referring to a human being when they say rough sleeper?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I thought it was like a railway sleeper.
Oh, no, I don't think it was sitting on one of those.
I thought they meant like a roughly hewn railway sleeper.
I love the idea of it sitting on one of those. Yeah, like... what's the James Bond film when a man shoots an enormous pelican sitting on a wooden post, and James Bond said, there was no... He said, I'll tell you what he says, what did you do that for? It was, do you remember it?
That sounds like...
I think it was Roger Moore.
Yes, it sounds very Roger Moore.
Which was actually another one of my New Year's resolutions.
Really?
No,
2021, everyone.
Yeah, so
he woke up on the rough sleeper. The rough sleeper
didn't want to hand him over, apparently.
Really?
I think they'd got attached, you know.
Oh, like Long John Silver.
Yeah.
Was he a pirate, maybe?
Long John Silver was ruthless. He'd have sold his parrot, in a twinkle of...
Yeah.
He'd have sold his parrot for a couple of Rimmel eyeliners.
Well, just one would have done. Did he have one eye, Long John Silver? I can't remember.
Do you know what? Too many accessories, Long John.
Oh, yeah, parrot.
Famously, Coco Chanel said, look in the mirror and take one thing off. Long John Silver never got that advice.
He did, but he went for the leg.
And the earring.
Yeah.
Silver earrings, eyeliner, there's the hat, there's the
parrot.
Boots, there's
the
parrot, frilly shirts. Calm down.
So the parrot is not only doing the bing bong and keep to the left, it's also asking visitors for spare change, which is very awkward. The London Transport Police, these people were so happy that the family, when they got Gray back, that they didn't get Gray back. They're not gorillas.
They're not bringing sexy back. They're bringing Gray back. That's what we're doing.
It's the new blonde.
Yeah.
That they said. I'll tell you what they said, because I have.
So you're trailing what the people who own Gray the parrot said.
Well, the producers announced a break, and I think it's all right. I want to know. A lot of people out there want to know what they said. Imagine the situation.
Hanger stuff, I think. So
you've lost your parrot. You've given up. You think, we'll never see that again. And then the British Transport Police say, we haven't actually established how they knew it was their parrot, but we'll come to that.
Well, hurry up. England expects.
Exactly.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
You left us on a real cliffhanger.
Yeah, it was an Arlene Boyce quote.
Carleen.
Carleen, is it? Carleen Boyce is the owner of Gray.
Did you say Gray with real contempt, like make an effort?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gray wants a cracker. What are we talking about? Anyway, she said that she was so grateful to the London Transport Police.
Grateful for bringing
back Gray. and she said, "I'm going to take them some donuts," was what she said.
Did she?
Now, this is stereotyping of the police at their ferry. She's watched some stakeout movies where there's been two coppers sitting in a car and they've got... Is she going to take them coffee in a styrofoam cup?
And some marriage problems.
Yeah, exactly, to discuss. I mean, come on, give them a bit more credit than that.
And yes.
Actually, when I write donut now... when I write the word donut, I write D-O-N-U-T.
I thought it was D-O-U-G.
It is, but I've adopted the Dunkin' donut. I write it quite regularly.
Well, you're a keen diarist, aren't you?
I am a keen diarist, and I don't eat donuts generally, but I do have what I refer to in my diary as donut sleeps.
That's what Peeps referred to, I believe.
Did they?
Yes.
Donut sleeps are sleeps with a hole in the middle.
Ah, I see.
When I wake up for like a couple of 3 hours in the middle of the night. So I will write, donut sleep last night. And I write D-O-N-U-T.
I have that every night, a donut sleep.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Me too. I have a lot of that.
Oh, my darling, I'm so sorry to hear that.
I mean, if we're all awake at the same time, we could really be having some right WhatsApp banter, couldn't we?
Why don't we do that? I'd love to do that.
The thing about Gray and the thing about the voices is that some people, they said what they were most pleased about getting Gray back home is that they were looking forward to a nice cuddle with him.
Cuddle?
Well, exactly.
Don't they have over 200 diseases? That was what was always said about parrots.
Was it?
Yeah. They are absolutely...
Very specific, over 200.
Yeah,
also,
not to be fair, from a human at the moment, that's pretty glass houses these days.
Al, even if you were comfortable with 200 diseases...
Not many people are.
But let's say there are some people.
Yeah.
What I would struggle with would be... I don't see them as very cuddly.
No,
let me snuggle up to his lovely talons and beak, pointy, sharp beak. You can't cuddle something with talons.
No, that's correct. I always think that about Russell Brand.
Trim my nails.
He looks too spiky, too many chains and buckles.
That's like Long John Silver. You can't cuddle him.
It'd be like getting in bed with a push bike. Yeah, we have parrots in our garden on a regular basis. Bright green.
Are they colourful though? Oh, see, that's the thing.
They're green. I call them. I call them all green. That's their name. There's Graham, Huey.
Yeah.
Who's the one? Who's the top shot? Oh, he's gone.
You know, cockatoos live till they're 80.
Cockatoos live till they're 80.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
true.
Paper talk.
Imagine you get a cockatoo and you thought 80 years of her.
I'm not. You can keep doing it, but I'm not going to do a cockatoo joke.
Well, I've just bit my own hand off trying.
Well, exactly. I mean, we've been absolutely tortured here. It's simply not fair. Oh my goodness. Look, thank you so much for listening to us this morning. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again. I love doing this show. We'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.